Hello and welcome to Stress Less with me, Jess. Today, my special guest is Charli Brown. Hello, Charli.
Hello, Jessica.
I'm so excited for you to be on here. We were already talking about some good stress techniques before we press record. So let's tell everybody why you're so amazing. You're the CEO and founder of Charli Brown LLC, the Rooted Cafe. You're an exceptional woman in leadership on a journey that will ignite your emotions, spark your inspiration, and drive you towards a change. As featured in the fractional portion and the CTN, Come Home, Charli Brown is a captivating speaker and author who establishes deep connections with her audience. You prepare to be transformed. You're the founder and the director of the Root Cafe and nurse, pastor, educator, leadership coach, and you made profound impact into internationally serving congregations and women ministries. You're dedicated to fostering and healing growth. You empower women to embrace their initiative potential and lead with authenticity. Get ready for an empowered journey for transformation and discover the leader within you. Absolutely love it. Obviously, there's so much to unpack in there. So tell me in your version, in your words, in the why you're so amazing in what you do.
That's a lot. My thing I'm the most proud of is probably I'm a wife and a mom and a yaya. My granddaughters call me yaya. So I love them so much. And they are my number one ministry, right? And what I love, I think the thing that is my passion and my calling is I love encouraging and inspiring women to be the leaders they're called to be, because a lot of times, especially if you're faith-based, you're struggling with how do I operate in the marketplace with a kingdom mindset, and how do I, that's a stress all on its own, because sometimes they think they're on this continuum that's pulling against each other, especially, let's be honest, the history of religion, a lot of times it's so male dominated that we can feel the stress of just trying to find our way in that. So I love doing that. That's my passion. I've been traveling a lot lately as an author. I'm a recovering control freak. So my book, It's Not My Weed to Pull, The Diary of a Control Freak, has been, I think, changing lives. That's what I'm hearing. Everyone's like, no, it's not for me. I'm going to read it because I'm your friend. And they're like, oh God, this is for me. I'm totally a control freak. I didn't realize it. So it's kind of a tongue in cheek with some of my own stories. And so, yeah, that's what's fun. Yeah, the Rooted Cafe is my passion project. It's leading women into the Hebraic roots of their faith. It's kind of a discipleship. But then the other part of me is I'm traveling, teaching women and men in coaching capacities and how to build leadership, finishing up my doctorate because I didn't have enough to do, and in women in leadership, organizational leadership. So, yeah, that's me. Done.
Love it. I love it. See, that's why I give people this option, because I don't think your bio ever does you justice. And so I wanted to use your own words. So cool. Obviously, everything that you're doing. And so I wanted to hit on the control piece just for a second before we get into your leadership, because I think so many people can relate to the diary of a control freak. And like you said, even if you don't even realize the things that you're trying to control, I know for me, when I teach about stress, that's one of the things I focus on is we try to control an outcome. We try to control who we are, even though it's against who we are. And we try to control what other people do. If I say this, then this will happen. If I do this, then this will happen. And so there's different ways that, the control freak comes out. I think a lot of times when we think the control freak, we go, oh, I'm color coordinated. I put this label on, and yes, that's OCD, and I'm not going to discredit that. And yes, that correlates with stress, but there's so many different other ways. Can you just nutshell a little bit about your book and a diary piece?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing everyone's realizing is the control freak. We always think of this crazy tyrant person coming out, and that's not it. It can be subtle. It can be covert. It can just be that look, because you're causing people to question what they're doing, because you're like, oh, that's an interesting choice. I mean, that's like control right there, just little, maybe passive aggressive. But the other thing about it is the helper. I got to help you. I'm just trying to help. And what we find is in the stress management for me was that I was helping everybody do all their things, thinking that with my big S on my chest, I'm coming to save the day. And then I found I was getting none of my stuff done because I was helping, with my air quotes here, helping everyone else. And I realized that was really subtly control. It was like me feeling I needed to be in control. And what I found, okay, super short story, is that I went to have a massage, and the girl jumps up on the table my massage therapist. She was new, and she's like full dreadlocks. I mean, she was awesome. And she jumps up on there and she's like, okay, so let me just tell you what happened. And she just got back from a Hiawatha experience down in Machu Picchu. And I was like, okay, this could be weird. And I was like struggling with my religious spirit. And I was like, stop it, go step down. And then she says to me this thing that in the middle of this process and this ceremony, that she heard God, whoever that appeared to her as, show up and tell her, because she thought she was dying and she was like vomiting. I mean, it was just horrible. It was like she was scared she was dying in this thing. And it spoke to her and said, it's not your job to keep your body alive. Jessica, I can just tell you that all I know is it's one of those moments when it was just like, it like took the breath out of me, because I knew it wasn't about her. It was about me needing to hear the message that it wasn't my job to keep my business alive. It wasn't my job to keep my family alive. It wasn't my job. I was thinking I had to control everything because, oh my God, I might die. Like it was my job. And as women, we're nurturers, oh, I have to, but we literally nurture things to a point and then it's time to let them go. You have to keep your children alive. That's like your job for the first few years, but then it's time to let them go and keep themselves alive. And that was the message I needed to hear about my business, my ministry, all the things. Wasn't my job to keep it alive. And that was life changing and freeing for me.
Oh my goodness. I think what you just hit on in the sense of speaking of control is right on the head, right on the head. Because again, going back to some people thought maybe it's OCD. Okay, maybe they related to, okay, I do control this by doing this. But that helper piece, I think if there was not somebody, you spoke to maybe at least 99% of the listeners. So,
Yeah.
no big deal there. But that's exactly what it is. And I always look at it as it too, as if I'm helping others. If I'm going, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing to go help somebody else. I'm doing the avoidant game too, right? I'm
Right.
avoiding what I have to do, whether it's the stress of it or whatever the conversation I'm trying to avoid. So that's still a sense of control. I'm doing this to avoid this, which I'm controlling the situation. So, but I'm doing good. So I'm allowed to. So I kind of give her impression of going, well, I'm going to be this helper. But
Mm-hmm.
what I really like what you said is that I don't have to keep it alive, but I like how you internalize that in the sense, that's my business. That's my kids. That's my husband. That's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, to all the things that we try to do,
Right.
protecting them.
Right.
I will hold them this close to me and not let go. As you mentioned this earlier, just that squeeze tight so that they never get hurt. They don't have to have the hurt feelings. They don't get a cut. They don't have financial problems. They don't have to struggle when it comes to it's all these things. And then you have the business hat on, as being a business hat entrepreneur. If I do all of these things, if I do all of these tasks, if I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, stay up till 12 o'clock at night, then my business will be completely successful. And that is it.
No. Yeah, and that's not true. I can tell you I've done that and it's not true. And I just know, and I shared with you before we started, is that I made a decision that my energy has to match my calling and my calendar. And so that wasn't happening because I was exhausted, and so I wasn't, it was about getting enough sleep. It was about eating properly. It was about understanding which foods were going to strip it away. But before I talk about that, I want to go back to what you said as far as having to get involved with everything. We may not like to hear about it, but fear is usually the root of all that. I'm afraid, Phil, I'm afraid they won't do it as well as I do. I'm afraid, I know, ow, put your feet away because I'm going to step on him. I'm afraid that it won't get done at all. And if, it's kind of like if they don't do it, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And that's, we pretend like that's funny, but we literally walk it out every single day. And that fear, the root of that really is pride, that I'm the only one who can do it right. And it's kind of having to realize, God, I have an issue with pride. I think now you have to let someone fall. You have to let them fail. You're going to have to let them not do it as well as you think it should be done. There's just crazy. We think that if our children don't match perfectly going to school, that you're afraid that people are going to think you're a bad mom or bad dad, whoever's listening. You think if your husband leaves with his clothes not matching properly, he looks crazy, that they're going to think, oh my gosh, they're going to think somehow it's a reflection of you. And I have to just say, it's not your job. One of the best things I did was my daughter, when she was young, is I remember that the director of the preschool coming to me and goes, I just love how you just let Shelby dress herself every morning, however she wants. And I was a single mom, Jessica, and I'm just going to tell you, that was not a fight I was going to have. I was like, I don't even care what you wear. Just get to school. Right. That was I didn't want to go to school mad, everyone angry. So I didn't care. She was not going to not make Harvard, or because she didn't wear matching outfits. And she was so proud of herself. And she just grew up as a very strong and independent woman now. And I didn't do that when it would mattered. I gave her, here's two choices you get to pick, but it wasn't fine. Do you have to really, what matters? Because that's that stress control. We create so much stress based out of pride and fear, and just spending some journaling time on that. Like, what am I afraid of? What, and does that really matter? And where does that stem from? What hole in my soul, or what trauma trigger is this, or, whatever.
When you were given the examples of, my husband dressing this way, my daughter dressing this way, et cetera, I think about the example of having my house clean every time someone comes over, and I think some of you might like this. If you're like, oh, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm stopping by, I'm like, what's in my sink? What's on my counter? Right? Oh my God. For them to know that I live here, that would just be a crazy mindset, no
Right.
way.
Right.
Things that we do. It's funny too that you say this too, because as I was laying in bed with my fiance last night, we're talking about getting a bookshelf, and he goes, well, I don't know if I want to put holes in the wall. And I'm going, well, why not? We live here. And I started laughing. I'm going, yeah, let's not live in the house that we live in. And, obviously joking, we're going back and forth, but these are the things that we do, going back to that control and that fear of, oh, I can't resell the house because there's this hole, a nail hole that you, for some reason, automatically catch up. But it goes back to what you're saying, maybe journaling on it, or maybe just asking myself, why am I going to fight this? Is this a fight I want to fight? Why? Is this something I want to energy? However you need to word it in yourself. I always print this as, get curious. Why is this bothering me? Just ask the questions,
Really, that's a huge thing. Just ask the questions. I have 3 that I tell everyone in my book. You ask yourself, does this need to be said? Am I the one that needs to say it? And then if you get past those, you say, is now the right time to say it? And once you get past those 3, and I heard you say, I was about your home, and as people are coming in and you're afraid, the same thing. Got to the point then when my house was clean, if I had a housekeeper, because I think that if you're a woman in business, your first investment, Mary Kay tells you, you need to get a housekeeper. Like, you don't have time to clean your own house. That's not a good use of your time. So, but whatever, I literally now will go through and mess some things up because I want you to feel comfortable. Like, you can actually put your feet on things. I will mess things up intentionally now and uncontrol the environment. My husband and I are both actually a little OCD. So I do it intentionally. So you're not uncomfortable. Like, I'll leave something. So you'll feel like you can invite me to your house now, because I don't care. But what I found I was doing, Jessica, is I was controlling the situation or the environment by, if you came to my house and I had a nail hole or something, I'm going to tell you about it before you notice it, because I need to control how you feel about it. So I'm going to say, I know, I'm sorry, but I know this is this, or this or this, or my outfit. Yes, I have a big stain right here. Yes, I know this doesn't fit me right. I'm going to control what you see. I'm going to control your narrative. I'm going to control this situation, and explaining all these things away. Like, I had to apologize for these things, but that looks like I don't know, but it really is control.
It is control. And what I tell people is, we're apologizing for being human.
Right?
How many times do you get that text message? Oh, I'm so sorry because XYZ. I'm so sorry. Like you said, my shirt didn't match. I'm so sorry that I didn't see this. I'm so sorry. I'm going, what are you sorry?
Stop. I have a group. You guys are all invited to it. It's called Controllers Anonymous on Facebook. And it's just, joking to laugh at ourselves. But in this group, I had everybody a couple months ago do a sorry fast. And you're not allowed to say sorry for 30 days. And it's like, you had to come up with different ways to say things. So we were all like chiming in on, how are we getting over the I'm sorry? Because we are apologizing, like you said, for being human. But we find that then sorry doesn't really mean anything, because you're just using it flippantly all the time. So we'd be like, thank you for your grace. And I appreciate your valuable time. Thank you for your grace of my being 10 minutes late. Thank you that it was funny to start saying it and not saying I'm sorry. So put yourself on a sorry fast. I think you can probably Google terms instead of saying I'm sorry, and you will get like a list of things. And it's really kind of, you make it a game with yourself, and you can just be like, yeah, that's an interesting point. I feel, but we always lead with I'm sorry. And men would never do that, Jessica. ever.
No. Sorry, men listeners, but no. No. But you know what I hear
Especially
too?
leaders. I mean, like in your marriage or whatever, of course you say you're sorry. I hope you have a healthy relationship like that. But you don't lead with, oh, I'm sorry, just flippantly on everything.
No, no, no. And it's so true. It's funny because now you said that, I'm thinking about a networking meeting I have later tonight, a one-to-one call, and it was a gentleman, and he canceled. There wasn't a sorry. It was just like, hey, just to let you know, I rescheduled. My kids are sick now. They got me sick, so I'm just gonna make sure I take care. There was no, I already rescheduled. Hope you're having a great week. There was no apologies. And you know what? The crazy part is, I think we have to acknowledge, I didn't feel offended because he didn't say I'm sorry. I
Right.
didn't feel some type of way because this man was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think that."
No, and no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain everything. You can just say, no, that's not my best yes, but thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah.
Period. You don't have to say I'm sorry because da 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 da. We go into this big thing. That's stressful. I mean, we're talking stress management, for your clients and things. You don't realize how stressful it is for you to continually explaining everything away. And just no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Period. No,
Period.
that's not my best yes, but thank you. Keep me in mind for next time.
Period.
Period.
So I love our conversation. I don't want to cut it off, but I want people to know exactly what you do in the sense of leadership. So can
Mhm.
we just make a quick transition, and can you just highlight how are you helping people in the leadership roles?
Well, one of the things I love doing is I love going into organizations. Mostly I've been focusing on nonprofits at this time, but I love, first of all, is like, this is going to sound funny, but encouraging them about how to have healthy conflict. Conflict is healthy in building teams. Conflict, if you don't have conflict and you don't have, that means that your environment and your team doesn't feel safe. Because if you have a really healthy, safe team and in team building, you are going to have healthy conflict where you can say, Jessica, I don't really agree with that, but I think about this, or I've noticed you're doing this and this and this. And it's healthy because I know that I can disagree with you and I'm not kicked out and I'm not off the team. But building a team so it's so healthy that you can actually have healthy conflict. And how do you structure that? How do you structure your team? How do you build that vibe in your tribe? How do you do that with your team so that you can do that? So that's one of the things that I'm loving currently. That's what I've been doing, is working with teams to make them feel safe teams so they can have that conflict. And then the second part is actually looking at, a lot of leaders see themselves, especially if you're like the CEO, your C-suite leaders are not seeing themselves as in that elite status of how am I running my organization? How am I doing things? They're seeing it like piecemealing every single thing. And instead of leading the enterprise, what does it actually look like to lead your enterprise, where you have these verticals? Like you may have one company that does this, and you have one company that's, coaching, and then you have another team that's doing something different, and you're actually at a different level. Instead of getting in the middle of it, trying to control micromanage everything is a control issue. But instead, how am I the enterprise leader? How do I sit above all of it? And how do I make sure that everything's cohesive and that all the verticals can meet together in a safe way, disagree, but we're all still working for the same thing for the company in general. So
I love this so much. So for the listener that's taken all the control notes, wrote down the book, already bought it and everything, but now they're going, oh my God, I need her in my company. What is the best way for them to contact you?
would be you can email me. It's info@charlibrown.com. That would go straight to my office so that my team would grab that, and then we would get back to you and find out what your needs are and how I can do that. I can come in for a day. We can do weekends, we can do multiple days. We can do Zoom. We can come in and do Zoom and come up with a strategy for that. It is I think it's a wise investment, because the productivity of your team is amazing when they're not just being yes people. It's a safe place to say no, unapologetically. They can say, no, that's not going to work. And here's why. And they know that even if everyone in a collaborative environment, like I said before, helping them understand that. I think that's great. Oh, and if maybe you have a nonprofit or even faith-based, that's really a struggle sometimes, because we're all trying to be so nice and it's volunteer driven. And so we don't want to offend people, but it's okay. For those of you who are faith-based, Jesus offended many. So like, it's okay to stand up for the things that you're feeling that is the right direction to go. So that would be one way. And if you are like, okay, I got this book and I would like to maybe have I have teams that are actually doing the book because it's kind of fun, but you can bring me in by Zoom and I can check in with you guys for like we'll call it book club.
I
And I
love
can check in with you, even if it's just girls for fun, get some of your leadership girls and let's look at the book from a leadership perspective. And I can Zoom in with you that way too.
Very nice. So before we get into the lightning round, what is the one thing you want your listeners to take away today?
Lead well. And by that, I mean, I'm a retired nurse. So I mean, be healthy, lead well with your energy. If you're not taking care of you, we all hear the cliche of like, you have to put the mask on before you can put it on others. Okay, that's fine and good. But I mean, truly, like when you enter the room, are you leading well? Are you coming in, bringing an energy that's well, that's healthy? If not, take a step back and get well. So because you can't lead sick, you have to come in and know that, you know what, if I eat gluten, I'm going to be tired and I'm not going to be able to think well. If I am going to eat a bunch of sugar, this isn't going to work. If I'm not moving, if I'm not staying, whatever, your body. This isn't about weight loss. This is just about how healthy can you lead. You have to take care of yourself. You have to lead well. Is there work-life balance? There's a lot of components to that. And it's, if you have a team, it's important that you get that. And if you need help with that, reach out to me, but you have to have a good health life balance. Get a hold of Jessica to help that stress because that's part of the leading well. You can't lead stressed out. You just can't.
Oh, I love that so much. All right, Charli, let's get into the lightning round. What is your favorite breakfast?
Um, honestly, cereal. Like Cheerios.
Yeah.
Like I never get to eat it. Like I say don't get to. It's not my best, yes, but yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah. But I have a matcha shake every morning. But I love cereal. Yeah. Or chicken fried steak and eggs and gravy. Yeah, something super crazy.
Yes. What is one of your nicknames?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna be super transparent. Cootie. I
Okay.
grew up in I was born in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. Everyone called me Cootie Bug. And then it got to Cooters. So there'd be Cootie Bug or Cooters. I don't even know how that happened. And so when at 16 years old, visiting my relatives, I come to see my family and my cousins didn't know my real name because that they had all just called me either Cootie or Cooters my whole life. So thank you. Forget I said that.
Love it. Is your bed made right now?
No, my husband took a nap because he was up all night with a new puppy.
Oh. What never fails to make you laugh?
My granddaughters and my daughter, they're hysterical. Laughter is truly the best medicine in our family. We laugh a lot.
And do you have a bucket list?
Yes.
I
Do you want
love
to know
it.
what's on it? It's long. It's a big one, but yes, I do. Absolutely. And a vision board. So I look at it every day. I'm staring at it right now. And I take people's picture out of things and put my picture on it. So I pretend like it's me.
So much. Charli, I am super grateful for our conversation today. I really feel like it was enlightening to so many of the listeners. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm just blessed and privileged.